Hey, today we're going to look at a feature that's, well, kind of hidden on some of these tractors. A lot of tractors here. We're not used to seeing this many tractors after the pandemic. I'm excited to see that. But today we're going to look at the PTO, the power takeoff. We operated this channel for about 4 years before I even realized there was much difference between the different machines when it comes to the power takeoff. We're going to find out that the different PTO configurations will make a difference in how easy it is to operate your tractor. And these differences are within the same brand, for example. We've got 2 or 3 different approaches right here in this line, and a lot of the other manufacturers have the same thing. So stick with me. Let's get started. This is a CX2510. We've been in a machine just like this. We were in a machine just like this on the NC State University campus. Really nice machine. It's one of these slightly larger frame size tractors that's still 25 horsepower. Air conditioned cab. It's not really an extremely quiet cab, but hey, it's air conditioned. Now, that's not what we're here for today. We're here today to see what's going on behind us. The PTO is just a spinning shaft, traditionally on the back side of the tractor. In this case, we've got it connected up to this finish mower. It spins at 540 RPM when the tractor is just less than full throttle. You'll notice that when you get your tractor almost to full throttle, you'll see on the tachometer, you'll see a gauge where it says PTO or 540, depending on how they decide to mark it. Typically, you want to run your tractor at full throttle such that when it pulls down just a little bit in operation, it's running at that 540 mark. People often ask that. They say you should run it at 540. Well, the reason not to run it right at 540 is that your tractor engine will pull down a little bit when you start to apply a load. So that's why full throttle is always slightly more than the PTO. The tractor is intended to be ran at full throttle. When you're operating a PTO attachment, that's the full intent. It will not hurt the engine. They're designed to do that probably 24/7 without any issues whatsoever. Now, it's tempting for me to go into some history of the PTO and how old it is and everything. That'd probably be a little bit boring, so I'm not going to do that, or I'm going to try to resist that, other than to say it's been around in a very similar form since about 1920. Yeah, it's been around a long time. But I think we really want to focus on the different mechanisms used in the PTO today. So let's do that. I'm going to start by talking about the most advanced PTO mechanism from a design standpoint, which oddly enough is the most simple to operate. Notice this tractor does not have a clutch. This is a hydrostatic tractor driven by the twin touch pedals on the right side. And like most brands of hydrostatic tractors, there's no need for a clutch pedal. An independent PTO means that the PTO engagement and disengagement is totally independent of the rest of the transmission. In this case, I've got a little round knob right over here that I can use to turn the PTO off and on. In some cases, there's a lever, sometimes over here, to be able to use to turn it off and on. We'll talk more about that in a minute. This is one of the advantages, being able to turn it off and on while you're moving, while you're stopped. It doesn't matter. It's, as we say, independent of all that. The other advantage is that you can go forward, you can go reverse, you can stop the tractor. While you're using your attachment, your PTO will run continuously all the time without any extra input or thought from you. Now let's move to the most basic PTO mechanism. It's actually not on this tractor, but there's not a tractor here that has that mechanism, so I'll just show you the best I can. I'm going to call it a manual PTO. I didn't really find any good names for this PTO in any documentation. Typically, because they speak of the more advanced PTO, they give that a name, and they just refer to the manual one as PTO. The manual one is typically on a gear drive tractor. Of course, you have a clutch, but your PTO can only be engaged when the tractor is stopped, can only be disengaged when the tractor is stopped, and every time you press the clutch, the PTO will stop. One of the side effects that you might run into with that particular type of a PTO system is that if you're running a rotary cutter or something that has momentum, you press your clutch, your tractor will keep on moving because of all that momentum, and it might push you right into, well, something you don't want to go into. You can't stop it. I mean, even if you put your feet on the brakes, whatever, it just keeps right on pushing you. It's well, in my opinion, it's kind of dangerous. So that kind of steps up to the next type of manual PTO, and that is a manual PTO with an overriding clutch. And that allows you, when you press the clutch, it's still all manual. The PTO is gonna stop when you press the clutch, but the momentum of the rotary cutter or whatever you're pulling will just keep spinning even though your tractor's PTO stops. So it allows it to override rather than continue to push the tractor via the transmission. So the overrunning clutch is much better. Now, if you have a tractor that has one of those PTOs that pushes you forward, you can buy an overrunning clutch in the aftermarket, Tractor Supply, Rural King, any place like that. It just looks like a little extension to your PTO shaft, and it allows the attachment to keep on spinning even if the tractor PTO is stopped. So I would recommend getting one of those. I think it would help you a lot. We had a little Cub Farmall when I was a kid that did not have an overrunning clutch, and I would try to mow the yard with it, and sometimes it would push me right into the shrubbery, and Dad didn't care for that very much. He was pretty proud of his shrubbery. We actually had a video removing those shrubs last summer, I believe. They were there for 50-some years, and yeah, Dad had to pass away before we could get rid of them. I mentioned that no tractor on this lot had what I would consider that manual PTO. And that's because Haltom Equipment here, who's allowed us to use their lot for this particular episode. By the way, we thank you, Haltom Equipment. You may have seen a video several years ago from Aaron, and he showed us a bunch of these tractors, not these same ones, back then. And again, we really appreciate it. But Aaron has stated that they buy almost all of their machines in this size to be hydrostatic tractors. The manual PTO, you just won't see that in a hydrostatic tractor because it doesn't make sense. That's what we've got here. We've got what they call a live PTO tractor. It's got a hydrostatic transmission. So you don't have to use the clutch to go forward and backward. You don't use it at all unless you want to engage the PTO. If you want to engage the PTO, you push the clutch, and then you put the PTO in gear, which is a mechanical lever right here. This is the rear PTO, this is the mid PTO, but again, it's mechanical. It's not electro over hydraulic. We'll get into that in a minute as well. So you engage it with the clutch down. As soon as you let out on the clutch, the PTO stops. Hey, let's show that in an example. So I've got the clutch down. So I've engaged the lever here. It's a mechanical engagement. It's in the on position. The mower's not running. I'm going to leave the tractor at an idle, and you'll be able to hear not only in the engine RPM of the tractor where it's getting a load, but as I let the clutch out, you'll also be able to see the mower deck begin to shake. In fact, if I do it very rough, I think it might kill the tractor here, but see, it's all the tractor wants to do at idle to start that mower. There we go. And you can see it shaking. There we go. Now, I'm pulling it down to an idle here, but it's still running. And you'll notice if I press the clutch, the mower stops. If I let out on the clutch, the mower starts again. Now in this case, like I said, it's a hydrostatic transmission. In a gear drive tractor that has what they call a live PTO, they will have a two-stage clutch. And the two-stage clutch allows you to push the clutch halfway down to stop the tractor from moving, and the rest of the way down will stop the PTO. And that allows you some way to be able to stop the tractor. You can even shift gears from forward to backwards with that clutch in that halfway position while your mower is still running. But having not done that, it feels to me like you'd have to be just perfect to do that. I'd appreciate your comments below. If you have one of those two-stage clutches, how does it work for mowing? Are you able to shift from forward to reverse without stopping the mower? Does it work smoothly? Does it work well? Just like to hear your feedback on that. But that's the concept of the two-stage clutch. That's how a gear drive tractor can keep what they call a live PTO. To summarize on the different mechanisms, let's start with the simplest one. That's the manual. It's purely clutch driven, and then we have the manual with an overrunning clutch. Then we have a live PTO, which on a gear drive tractor has a two-stage clutch. On a hydrostatic tractor, it has this clutch. And it's a single stage clutch, but it's only needed for the PTO. Then we have the fully independent PTO, and that requires no clutch, at least on a hydrostatic tractor. And it runs continuously. Once you engage it, you can engage it anytime you want. We recently did an episode where we talked a little bit about independent PTO versus the other style. That was in the Kubota L3902 overview that we gave the other day. In that, we had some comments that I think kind of confused the independent PTO with the engagement mechanism. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit here. So this lever is mechanically connected to the transmission, right? And then that will do the actual shifting of the PTO into its on position. There's a clutch inside the transmission that this mechanically engages. The benefit of this is that you can gently engage it, right? You can choose your own speed. Just as I showed a minute ago with the clutch pedal on the tractor, with this approach you can gently engage the PTO. This is the other approach. This uses an electrical connection to engage the PTO. So I push it down, turn it like that to engage. One of the advantages of this is that the tractor then has full control over the PTO, meaning that it can disable it for a variety of reasons. For example, on a 1025R, if the tractor gets too hot, the engine gets too hot, it will stop the PTO, and that'll be your first warning, which is a very good warning because usually it gets too hot when you're mowing out in a field and the front screen of the tractor gets covered with weeds and seeds and the like. So turning off the PTO, if you happen not to be paying attention to the temperature gauge, is a good way for you to know that, hey, I've got a problem here. One of the potential disadvantages that was brought up in the comments on our prior video is that an electrical engagement, it removes your ability to softly engage the PTO. The speed of engagement is totally controlled by the tractor. Some manufacturers, for instance Massey Ferguson on their new 1800 series, they have a button right beside here for what they call soft start mode. So you can press that button down and then engage the PTO and it will engage it more gently in that approach. Other manufacturers just do this by default. Coyote, for example, does not claim to have a soft start feature, but it does seem to gently start the PTO. Likewise, the Deere seems to have a gentle startup on the PTO. And if your attachment's in a bind, I've experienced, the Deere won't even start it. So let's say you get to a stump grinder and you put it all the way into a stump and get it in a bind there, it won't even start. So it's not purely yes or no, at least on these tractors. Now, the complaint in the comments section was that you might shear a bolt by starting things too fast. And I'm gathering that this may be a Kubota only complaint. I'm not certain. Again, I'd like to hear from you in the comments section below. Apparently, at least some of the Kubotas, when you have this electrical switch, they start very abruptly. Let us know what your experience is on that. I have not experienced that on the Deeres. I have not experienced that on the Coyotes that I've driven. I do have some PTO experience with both, so happy to hear your thoughts on the other brands. So far I've been talking mainly about a rear PTO. A lot of these smaller tractors have a mid-mount PTO. It faces forward kind of midway under the tractor. It's used for a mid-mount mower. It can also be used for a snowblower, a broom, out front attachments like that. The mid PTO usually spins at a totally different speed, over 2,000 RPMs usually. It varies by manufacturer, which is frustrating. I think it may even turn the opposite direction as the rear PTO. It may turn in a counterclockwise fashion instead of a clockwise. Kind of frustrating. I wish they all spun at the same speed. That way, if we had an opportunity to put some rear attachments on the front of the tractor, you know how I'm always trying to work at that. But if you don't need a mid-mount mower, a front blower, a front broom, then don't worry about a mid PTO. It's not of value to you. But if your tractor doesn't support a mid PTO, you won't be able to add that on later. Some tractors support it as an add-on, but if they don't, say for example the Deere 3E, I believe up into the DK tractors and the Coyotes, not positive on that, there becomes a certain size that the mid PTO is no longer available. Okay, it's time for the opinion section again. And nope, it's not going to be anything political this time. I felt like I had to last time based on the particular topic we were talking about, but that's not the case this time. Who knows, we may cause a bunch of panicked comments with even these opinions, so yeah, you never know, but they're not political. Let's start with a little bit of background here. The independent PTO came about in the late 40s, early 50s. By the late 50s, early 60s, essentially all tractors had it. And throughout my entire time growing up, independent PTO was the only thing you could get. Having anything else would have been absurd. Imagining having the PTO attached to the clutch pedal was just something we never heard of. Now, compound that with when I started shopping for compact tractors, I didn't see in what I was looking for in the subcompact world, I didn't see any live PTOs or any manual PTOs. So I made the assumption that everybody had gone to the independent PTO and stuck with it. It was clearly much better. Oh, as an aside, you might have just heard all subcompact tractors that I know of have an independent PTO. If you're shopping for a subcompact tractor, not considering anything bigger, no worries, you're going to get the independent PTO, which is the one you want. What I didn't realize is that in these slightly larger tractors, several competitors had chosen to go to this manual or live PTO system. They call it a live PTO. I don't really like that name because it's not live. You press the clutch, it stops. So I get the terminology, but I don't really like the terminology. Again, we're in the opinion section, so give me a little more leeway here. Deere had exclusively independent PTO all the way until about 2019, and they introduced the 3D series, okay? The, what is it, 3025D, 43D, and 3035D, I believe. And I'm assuming they introduced that tractor to be competitive with some of these other brands that had gone back, I really say backwards, into these non-independent PTO systems. Are you getting my opinion out of this? My opinion is find a tractor that's got an independent PTO. Now, don't confuse that with the engagement mechanism. Some of you are saying, I don't want the electronic engagement. Okay, I realize that some people have a problem with that, and you do need to shop to make sure that when you get the electronic engagement, make sure it is one that has a gentle startup, that won't damage your attachment either by shearing a bolt or otherwise just being too abrupt with that startup. The Massey has the particular button. The Deere, I'm certain, has a bit of a soft engagement. The Coyote, I believe, has a soft engagement. I don't believe Kubota does. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, that's about enough for my opinions on the independent PTO. I'm just saying, get it. Mid-mount PTO, that's going to be totally up to you. If you know for sure you're not going to be using a mid-mount mower, a front broom, a front snow blower, you don't need it, okay? If you're going to be using any of those things, or even have a slight possibility of it in the future, or if you're in a region, a northern region where it might add resale value, you might consider adding a mid-PTO. Folks, PTO is important, and there are differences, so take your time, look into it. You can find this information in the spec sheets at least on every manufacturer that I tried. Maybe I should just give you a little bit of an overview on that. I just explained about Deere having only the 3D series that doesn't have the independent PTO. I didn't find any non-independents in the LS brand. Coyote obviously has some, Kubota has some, TYM and Branson have some non-independent PTOs. Beyond that, I'm not sure, but you can find that information online for the tractor you're particularly interested in, but I would recommend that independent PTO. This is the third episode now in our buyer's guide for 2022. The first two were on horsepower and frame size. Now we've had independent PTO. We've got at least 3 more episodes coming up, and I am planning some live streams where we can answer your questions specifically about these little tractors. Let me know in the comments if that interests you, and we'll get one scheduled very soon. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim. Summon your power, God. Show us your strength, our God, as you have done before.